presentation, if it's okay. Can go ahead and share that with you guys. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You have screen share.
Okay. Second, I get this started. All right, so this is our project, right? So Rural Education Program Africa is basically an initiative that was created to help support education in Liberia. So a little bit about Liberia. Liberia was founded by the American Colonization Society back in 1822. So we are the oldest republic in Africa. So Liberia was founded as a place for free slaves to have the opportunity to settle. Monrovia, the capital city of Liberia, was named after James Monroe, which is the fifth president of the United States. And so there's a lot of similarities there. We have three branches of government, just like here. Everything is structured basically the same. We have Capitol Hill, just like here. We have senators, representatives. And so there's a lot of similarities there. There's great relationship between the two countries. And Liberia is located on the west coast of Africa. I know a lot of you probably heard about the Blood Diamond. It was right there on the coast of Liberia and Sierra Leone. So obviously, I'm passionate about Liberia because I was born there. I lived there for 14 years. I lived through the 14 years of Civil War. And I fled the country, came to the US, got educated in the US, eventually I got a job, became a citizen. So I'm very passionate about this project because of my history with Liberia. So just a little background about Liberia as a whole. So I mentioned earlier that Liberia went through 14 years of civil war. The Civil War basically destroyed every infrastructure as well as made resources scarce, right? So Liberia is a small country. About 5 million people live in the country or less. So 3.9 million people in Liberia don't have access to decent toilet, right? So a lot of people only have outhouses. Malaria and diarrhea. I'll speak for someone who have actually gotten malaria before. It's no joke. Malaria and diarrhea are two of the leading causes of death amongst young people. And studies have shown that both of those are closely linked to poor hygiene habits. This next one is the one that really got my attention as I started to work on this project, right? Research that was done by the United Nations, the UNICEF, found that 2 in 10 Liberian girls miss school during their cycle due to poor and lack of safe sanitation facilities. And also just the lack of school supplies. So unlike the US and other Western countries, in Liberia, students have to write down every single note that is taken. I was fortunate to come to high school. I completed my high school, undergrad, and graduate school here in the US. I remember in high school, for every subject, we were given a book to take home. In Liberia, it's different, right? There aren't many resources there. So you have to write down every single information that you need for the classroom. So we have a small team in Liberia, a team of volunteers, about 4 students that went out and did a needs assessment as we was thinking about doing this project to help support education in Liberia. Initially, we focused on 6 schools in rural Liberia, so Montserrado and Margibi counties. There are many schools, I can tell you that there are many schools that are facing this problem. But initially we wanted to focus on 6 schools. The interviewer, our volunteers went out to spoke to school staff, parents, students, as well as community members. And these were the areas of greatest need, right? So safe restroom facility was the #1 issue amongst all of the schools that we spoke with. School supplies for students. So I mentioned earlier, the notebook, pencil, pen, backpacks, these things that are readily available in the US and other places are kind of scarce in Liberia. Chairs and desks, reading books, as well as libraries. So these are some of the pictures from the needs assessment I went out. The school that we're looking at is called Victory Christian Mission School. What's interesting about this school is that I lived in Liberia when this school was first founded. Now I've lived in the U.S. for over 20 years. And when the school was founded, they actually had no roof. So the students would just go when the weather was nice. When it rained, students didn't have school. So it's a small Christian school. It serves about 150 students. And the picture on the right that you're looking at is actually what the bathroom stall looked like. So it's literally just like a hole in the ground, and 150 students have to use this single stall that you see. This is another school. This one is called Internal Life Passion Academy. It's in Margibi County. And the pictures on the right is the two stalls, two bathroom stalls that are available. And this school has about 130 students. So imagine 130 students have to share both of these, and about 15 to 20 school staff. The result of all these poor hygiene facilities, we've seen a lot of illnesses among students. Enrollment have dropped drastically amongst all these schools that we visited. There's been a lot of sicknesses associated with having these type of facilities. As you can see, it's definitely not hygienic. It's open to bacteria and other sicknesses that's affecting the students. This is an actual bathroom for one of the schools that we're working with. And this school, it has about 130 students, and this is the facility that they have to use during the school year. Currently, this one is actually not in service, and so this school is without a bathroom facility right now. And I'll talk a little bit about this one coming up, because there's a little success story here about this school and this bathroom. So as far as what we are looking to do, so this is the facility that we're looking to build for the schools that we're working with. We are working with a local construction company in Liberia, 100% local. They're owned by local Liberians. They designed this picture for us. So each facility will have 6 stalls, 3 for males and females. Behind these partition are hand washing stations. If you can remember the images that I showed you earlier, not so long ago, none of those bathroom facility had hand washing stations. So that's another issue that the schools face with. So we have 4 hand washing stations for each of these bathroom facilities. So as far as the cost, so each bathroom facility costs from around 5,600 to 6,000. Now the difference in price is just basically how rural the schools located. Some of the schools is very difficult to get to, but this is the estimate that was provided to us from the local company that we're working with. School supplies. The school supplies that are needed, I mentioned this earlier. So backpacks, notebooks, pencil, pen, rulers, just basic school supplies. Things like notebooks, pens, and pencil are very important, like I mentioned earlier, because you have to write down every single information that's given to you. There's no books that you can take home. And so these things are high commodities as far as students goes. Now, so I mentioned earlier about the last facility that I showed you. We were able to raise over the past 3 months since September, we're able to raise enough funding through Lifehouse Shenandoah Church to cover the cost of one of the bathroom facilities. So the last picture that I showed you, the school that is currently without bathroom, they are in the process of getting a modern bathroom facility. This picture that you see is a picture of the early stages of the construction project. And this is what it currently looks like. I actually just received the picture on the right yesterday. And so the construction project is ongoing. This is a really great success story that we're excited about. We're very thankful to Lifehouse Shenandoah. They sponsor it 100%. And this is where we are. So this project is scheduled to be completed by the end of next week. The students there go back to school the first week in December. And so we will be able to turn this over to them prior to them going to school. The personal goal is that I'm going to travel to Liberia on December 3rd to be there for this dedication ceremony. The good news is that Liberia has far more less COVID cases than we have here. And so finger crossed, hopefully my trip will be successful. So again, we're very excited about this success story. These students, 130 students, are going to get the opportunity to have a modern bathroom facility. And for a lot of the students and teachers, this will be the first time they'll get the chance to use a real toilet, a real commode. So this is going to be such a treat for them, and hopefully it will keep the students enrolled in school. A few weeks ago, we were able to ship over 135 backpacks. We got donation from folks in the community. Some folks also gave us a small monetary donation, and we're able to buy the backpacks that were not donated to us. And so each of the backpacks had a few notebooks in there, crayons in there, pencil and pen. So these are the boxes that I shipped them in. Again, 135 backpacks filled with school supplies are going to go to our students of this first school that is getting the brand new bathroom. So the backpacks are scheduled to arrive in about 2.5 weeks, and hopefully we'll be able to get them to the students right at the beginning of the new school year, or as they go back to school. So again, it's something that we're extremely excited about, and that's a success story here. So that's it for me. And again, this is my information. John has all of my information as well. This is my email address. Again, I'm very passionate about this, and I want to thank you all for giving me a few minutes to talk about a project that is so dear to my heart. Thank you so much. And I'm open to any questions you guys may have.
Yeah, any questions?
I have a question for Thomas. I'm wondering if after these bathrooms are completed, when school is not in session, are they closed to the children and the general public?
So that's a very great question. That's something that I've talked to with the head of schools there, including the principal. The goal is that we want the students to have access to all of this, right? We want the students to have access to this bathroom facility. So the students will have access to it. Now, it will be monitored by the school staff, so they're going to take good care of it. However, the students will have access to this. I'm sorry,
Thank you for what you're doing.
Absolutely, thank you.
I had a question. What kind of septic system is used there? I noticed it's near water, some of them were near water.
That's another good question. So I actually have an entire drawing and then all of the information that was submitted to us by the engineers back home. And I believe I sent that over to John, and I'll be happy to send that again. The septic system that they were building is a concrete system. Now, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know all of the details. However, that information was given to me, and John can share that with you guys. But I believe it is concrete. There's steel in there as well to fortify it, and so yeah, so everything should be solid. And all of the buildings back home, as you saw in the picture that I showed, all the buildings in Liberia are all concrete buildings. So, yeah.
Thomas, I have a question. Maybe I missed it, but is this a one and done project, or is this ongoing? Are you doing, when you finish this, are you going to move on to another similar one?
So again, another good question. So as far as the schools that we're working with, we are going to continue a relationship with them. So my wife and I are in the process of starting a nonprofit. We haven't filed for our nonprofit status yet. Some of the goals that we are looking to is to continue to work with the schools. So in addition to providing them with the school supplies and a modern bathroom, one of the things that we wanted to do is connect schools there with schools here. I remember as a kid in Liberia, I learned about the US government because of the relationship. I learned about history in the US. And when I moved here in high school, we did talk a little bit about West Africa. So one of our goals that my wife and I want to do is how about connecting those classrooms together? If you are studying a region in Africa or anywhere in the world, how cool would it be to talk with them, to interact with them as you are studying that region? So that's another something that we are passionate about, and we're looking to establish that. But as far as the relationship with the school, it's going to be ongoing. We're hoping to, through our nonprofit, provide more resources to them. Eventually, we're looking at partnering with other organizations to do teacher training for them as well. And so, no, it's not a one and done situation. We're hoping to maintain some form of relationship with all of the schools that we are working with.
Thomas,
Yes.
could you question? If Liberia is like the United States, you start out with a facility that's clean and shiny and bright. And over time, it loses its shininess, brightness, and so forth. So how are you going to maintain them? And whose responsibility is that going to be?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very important. So yes, that was one of my concerns, right? So I lived in Liberia. I've been the recipient on the other side of organizations that come in and do these projects and leave, right? They don't empower the local people to take care of it. There is no empowerment there on how to run it. And I can give an example. I remember there's an organization that came and built a well in our community, but didn't really show us how to go about that with a hand pump and everything. Within a year or two, we couldn't use it. So it's something that I already thought about based on my experience. And I've had many conversations with our local school staff. That's one of the reasons why we decided to hire a local organization, a local construction company. So all of our projects are insured, lifetime insured. But as far as the daily upkeep, this is a conversation that I've had with all of the school staff that we're working with. An agreement that they have with us is that they are going to provide that upkeep, right? They're going to have somebody who is going to make sure that it is being kept clean, daily cleaning, making sure that if there's any problem, they have the contact information of our local engineers. They can reach out to them if there's any repair, to make sure that, we're keeping those safe and clean and working for all of our students that we're working with. But yes, that's a very important question, and it's something that I've addressed with the staff that we're working with.
Thomas, could you address the issue of fresh water in each of your communities that you're working with?
Yes, so we did address that. So another thing that our bathroom is doing, again, we have hand washing stations, and these are going to be modern bathrooms that will be flush, right? The students have to flush it. So one of the things that we did was with the schools that we're working with, a few of them already have access to wells. And so our engineers are going to build a water tower because there aren't running water all over Liberia. These areas are especially rural areas. We don't have the luxury to have running water. So our engineers for schools that have wells, our engineers are going to build a water tower that will pump the water from the well to the tower and store it. And that water through gravity would be used for hand washing as well as flushing the toilets. Now, as far as that's something that we are going to work with our local communities, and it's something that is going to come within the next couple of months. But I think 4 out of the 5 schools that we're working with currently have access to fresh water to a well. And so it makes it a little easier. 2 of the schools don't have access to that. And so we're working with the engineers and the local company to see if we can build a well and build a water tower system to make sure that our students have, fresh water to wash their hands as well as to flush their toilets.
Hi, Thomas.
Yes.
I spent time in the Peace Corps in Mali, West Africa, and a lot of your
Nice.
pictures remind me of that. But I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what people eat in Liberia and what the students will eat and what you ate as a family and
Mhm.
how you ate.
Absolutely, that's a good question. I love Mali's West Africa. I'm biased towards the West, so yeah. As far as meals, again, that is one of the needs that came up, right? As we're talking to the schools and the staff, cafeteria, having a space where students can go and have meals. Currently, as it is, some of the schools, again, not all of them, some of the schools have the staff hire a cook. I don't even want to say like a feeding processor. They hire a cook that comes in, and for an additional fee from parents, the cook will provide meals to the students. And the way it looked like is that, in the US, again, I went to high school here, we have a cafeteria. No, for most of the schools that we work with, the students literally just eat right in the classroom. So this is one of the needs that we're hoping to address. Again, this is not a need that is so dire as far as, bathroom facility and school supplies, but this was one of the needs that are on there. As far as what the students eat, in Liberia, we eat a lot of rice. So I love rice. There's a lot of rice. The cool and awesome thing about Liberia is that all of the vegetables, fruit, everything is so fresh. There is no additive or anything like that. And so a lot of schools have adopted the gardening process where the students will go and do gardening. And oftentimes, some of the products that are garden will be made into lunch. But rice is mainly the main meals, and we made a lot of different stews and soup to go with them. But the staple is rice. And there are some of the schools that actually don't have any feeding programs, so it's left with the parents to provide lunch for the students. It's sad to say that there's a lot of students that go about the day hungry. They don't have access to food, and oftentimes, they will go just hungry. The government is a poor, recovering from 14 years of civil war, and so this is one of the issues that the UNICEF, the United Nations, has been trying to address as far as food lunch programs. But it's something that is a need there, and something that we have encountered quite a bit. Thanks for asking that.
No, thank you for sharing. That's really fascinating. And you're right, West Africa is a beautiful place, and they do have a
Yeah.
lot of fresh fruits and things, especially the mangoes.
Yes, the mangoes everywhere. Fried plantain is there. Apples, all of those things. Pineapple. So the fruit is available. The students can eat as much fruit as possible, but as far as the staple meals, it's very difficult to come by.
This is more of a comment than a question.
Yes.
I remember years ago, it was very popular. It seemed like to drill wells and to go into Africa and do that. And that what I remember reading, maybe it was in Rotary, but probably the greater need was for sanitation. And so, and that would make a bigger difference at that point. So I'm very happy to see for your work and for what you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Sanitation is definitely a greater need. And I'll tell you, for someone who lived there for 14 years, I've experienced all of that, right? And you're right. There are a lot of organizations, again, they all have great heart that will come in and without really consulting the local, we just assume that, hey, this is a poor community, so they might need wells, right? And so you have all of these wells popping up everywhere, and we'll use them for maybe a year and then become obsolete. So sanitation is definitely a higher need. Thank you for saying that, John.